On August 28, 1976, an 18-year-old girl was found dead in a house by the beach. When paramedics arrived, they saw what looked like the aftermath of an all-night party. Empty bottles, scattered clothes, a body on the bedroom floor. But when the coroner examined her, he stopped. He'd seen overdoses before, hundreds of them. This one was different. The amount of substances in her system wasn't just high, it was almost incomprehensible. He would later call it one of the most extreme cases he had ever encountered. And when police found an envelope near the body with a doctor's name on it, they realized this wasn't just a tragic accident, it was the final page of a story that had been written years earlier. A story that started not in a beach house, but on a soundstage, under bright lights, in front of millions. Her name was Anissa Jones, and if you were alive in the late 1960s, you knew her face. You knew her pigtails, you knew her smile. She played a character so innocent, so pure, that an entire generation of Americans invited her into their living rooms every single week. But the girl behind that character was living a completely different story, and by the time anyone noticed, it was already too late. Anissa Jones was born on August 11, 1958, in a small town in Indiana. There was nothing unusual about her early childhood: a younger brother, 2 parents, a quiet Midwestern life. But when her brother Paul was still a toddler, the family packed up and moved west to California. It seemed like a fresh start, a chance at something better. But within months of arriving, her parents' marriage collapsed. The divorce was bitter. The custody battle that followed was even worse. It dragged on for years, pulling both children into the center of a fight they couldn't understand. During that time, Anissa lived with her mother, Mary, and Mary saw something in her daughter, a brightness, a natural charm. She enrolled Anissa in dance classes when she was 4 years old. Then she started taking her to auditions. By the age of 6, Anissa was appearing in television commercials, cereal boxes, breakfast food, smiling into the camera like it was the easiest thing in the world. And it was. She had a gift. She didn't have to try. People just liked her. In 1966, when Anissa was 8 years old, a producer saw her audition for a new sitcom. The show was called Family Affair. It was about 3 orphaned children who go to live with their wealthy bachelor uncle in New York City. The premise was wholesome, the tone was light, and the role of Buffy, the youngest child, required someone small, sweet, and completely believable. Anissa got the part. She was 8, but she looked 6. That worked perfectly, and when the show premiered, audiences fell in love with her immediately. Blonde pigtails, big eyes, a doll named Mrs. Beasley that she carried everywhere. Buffy became one of the most recognizable characters on television. The show shot to #1 in the ratings. Merchandise flooded the market. Buffy dolls, Buffy lunchboxes, Buffy coloring books, a Buffy cookbook. Anissa Jones, at 8 years old, was famous. But fame for a child doesn't look like fame for an adult. It looks like work. Endless, relentless work. Family Affair filmed year-round. There were no long breaks, no summer vacations. Anissa worked 7 days a week to meet network deadlines. She spent more time on set than she did at home, more time with crew members than with kids her own age. And while audiences saw a cheerful little girl skipping across their screens, the reality behind the camera was very different. She was performing, constantly. And the older she got, the harder it became to keep pretending. On set, everyone loved her. Cast members praised her professionalism. Crew members said she was kind, thoughtful, unusually mature for her age. She made a point to welcome guest stars so they wouldn't feel out of place. She insisted that her younger brother Paul, who often came to set with her, receive the same treatment she did. If someone gave her a gift, she'd make sure Paul got one too. If that wasn't possible, she'd give hers away. She didn't want anything he couldn't have. That generosity, that awareness, made her even more beloved. But it also revealed something. She was carrying weight that most children don't carry. She was managing emotions that most children don't have to manage, and no one seemed to notice that the weight was getting heavier. In 1969, Anissa made her only film appearance. She had a small role in a movie called The Trouble with Girls, starring Elvis Presley. It was a minor part, but it was still significant. She was working alongside one of the biggest names in entertainment. She appeared on talk shows, The Merv Griffin Show, The Dick Cavett Show. In 1967, she presented an award at the Emmy ceremony. She was likely one of the youngest people ever to do so. From the outside, it looked like everything was going perfectly, but inside, something was shifting. By the time Anissa turned 10, she was tired. Tired of the schedule, tired of the character, tired of being Buffy. She started to see the role as a trap. It was babyish. It kept her frozen in childhood while the world around her kept moving. She wanted to grow up. She wanted to be taken seriously. But every time someone looked at her, all they saw was pigtails and a doll. Her performances in the later seasons of Family Affair reflected that exhaustion. The energy wasn't the same. The spark had dimmed, and the audience could feel it. Ratings began to slip. In 1971, after 5 seasons, the show was canceled. Anissa was 12 years old, and she was relieved. She thought cancellation meant freedom. She thought it meant she could finally move on, take on different roles, show the world she was more than Buffy. She auditioned for The Exorcist in 1973. The role of Regan McNeil, a young girl possessed by a demon, was the perfect pivot. It was dark, intense, the complete opposite of everything she'd been known for. But the director, William Friedkin, couldn't see it. He couldn't imagine sweet little Buffy in a role like that. The part went to Linda Blair. Anissa tried again in 1976. She auditioned for Taxi Driver for the role of Iris, a teenage sex worker. Again, it was a role that would shatter her old image. Again, she was rejected. The part went to Jodie Foster. No one could see past Buffy, and Anissa realized something devastating. The character she'd spent 5 years playing had become a cage she couldn't escape. Without work, without structure, without a clear path forward, Anissa began to drift. She experimented with substances. She shoplifted for the thrill of it. She tried working normal jobs but couldn't hold them down. Her moods swung wildly. She'd disappear for days at a time, running with friends her mother didn't approve of. And her mother, Mary, was terrified. She filed missing person reports. She begged Anissa to come home. But Anissa didn't want to be controlled anymore. She'd spent her entire childhood being told where to stand, what to say, how to smile. Now she wanted to make her own choices, even if those choices were destructive. In March of 1974, just days before Anissa's 16th birthday, her father died from cardiovascular disease. The custody battle that had defined so much of her early life was finally over, but not in the way anyone expected. Anissa and her brother Paul were supposed to live with their mother, but Anissa barely spent any time at home. She was out constantly, partying, staying with friends, avoiding anything that felt like structure or supervision. Her mother couldn't reach her, and Anissa didn't want to be reached. Then, on March 11, 1976, Anissa turned 18. That birthday wasn't just symbolic, it was financial. For years, the money she'd earned on Family Affair had been held in a trust. She couldn't touch it. But the day she turned 18, it became hers. All of it, just under $200,000. And she spent it the only way she knew how, on freedom, on parties, on escaping the past as fast as she could. Within 4 months, most of it was gone. On August 27, 1976, Anissa went to Oceanside, a beach town south of Los Angeles. She brought her boyfriend and a few friends. One of them was only 14 years old. They went to a house. The father of the 14-year-old wasn't there, and the party went all night. Substances were consumed in quantities that even experienced users would find excessive. Anissa, at 18, had built up a tolerance that shouldn't have been possible for someone her age, but that night she pushed past it, and the next morning she was found on the floor of a bedroom, dead. The coroner's report was shocking. The levels in her system were so high that even seasoned investigators were disturbed. It wasn't just an overdose, it was an obliteration. And when police searched the scene, they found something that changed the entire investigation. An envelope. It had a business address printed on it. The address of a doctor named Don Carlos Moshos. Inside the envelope was a detailed description of the type and quantity of substances that matched what was found in Anissa's body. Moshos wasn't just any doctor. He was already under investigation. Authorities had been watching him for months. His practice was located in Torrance, California, and it was always busy. Lines of young people stretched outside his office waiting to get in. He didn't ask questions. He didn't require medical history. All you needed was a valid ID and $5. In exchange, he'd write you a prescription for whatever you wanted. Seconal, Quaaludes, anything. He was writing over 100 prescriptions a day, and most of his clients were teenagers. When the media learned that Moshos might be connected to Anissa's death, they swarmed. Reporters dug into his background. Neighbors of his office building spoke on record about the crowds they saw. Local news teams visited his practice and found it packed with young people, most of them Anissa's age or younger. It became clear very quickly that Moshos had made it extraordinarily easy for someone like Anissa to obtain lethal amounts of dangerous substances. And 6 days after her body was discovered, police arrested him. He was charged with illegally prescribing Seconal to Anissa Jones. He was also charged with multiple counts of prescribing for profit in a separate undercover investigation, 11 offenses in total. But he would never stand trial. Moshos was not a healthy man. He suffered from diabetes, hepatitis, and high blood pressure. On December 6, 1976, just 4 months after Anissa's death, he was admitted to the hospital. 3 weeks later, he died. Justice, in the legal sense, would never be served. But Anissa's family wasn't finished. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Moshos' estate, seeking $400,000. In 1979, a verdict was reached. The court found Moshos 30% liable for Anissa's death. The payout was $79,500, a fraction of what her family had asked for, a fraction of what her life had been worth. Anissa's body was cremated. Her family held a small private service. Then they took her ashes to the ocean. She had always loved the beach. They scattered her remains over the Pacific, letting the waves carry her away from everything that had broken her. But the tragedy didn't end there. In 1984, 8 years after Anissa's death, her brother Paul overdosed. He was 24 years old. It happened just days after what would have been Anissa's 26th birthday. The two children who had been so close, who had grown up together in the chaos of Hollywood and divorce and fame, were both gone. Their mother, Mary, had now lost both of her children to substances. The same force that had taken Anissa had come back for Paul. And even beyond Anissa's immediate family, the shadow of family affair continued to spread. Sebastian Cabot, who played the uncle on the show, died of a stroke in 1977. He was 59. Brian Keith, another co-star, took his own life in 1997. 3 people from the same show, all gone too soon. It's easy to say that's just coincidence, but patterns like that don't happen in a vacuum. They happen in environments that break people quietly, over time, in ways that don't show up on camera. Anissa Jones was 8 years old when she became famous. She was 12 when the fame ended, and she was 18 when she died. That's 10 years, a decade. But if you map it out, you realize how little of that time was actually hers. The work consumed her childhood. The rejection consumed her adolescence. And by the time she had the freedom to choose her own path, she didn't know how. She only knew how to escape. And escape, in the end, became the only thing she was good at. There's a photograph of Anissa from 1966, right when Family Affair started. She's sitting on the set, smiling, holding Mrs. Beasley. She looks happy. She looks safe. But if you know the rest of the story, it's almost impossible to look at that photo without feeling something break inside you. Because that little girl had no idea what was coming. She had no idea that the thing that made her famous would also be the thing that made it impossible for her to be anything else. She had no idea that the system designed to celebrate her would be the same system that abandoned her the moment she stopped being useful. Anissa Jones didn't die because she was weak. She died because she was used up, and when there was nothing left to take, no one was there to catch her. If this story shook you, then you need to see what we uncover next. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the Velvet Dossier doesn't just tell stories, we expose the ones they tried to bury. Every week, we pull back the curtain on the lives Hollywood tried to forget, the broken systems, the hidden tragedies, the people who paid the price for fame. This is only the beginning. Subscribe now and never miss the truth.